Hello everybody and welcome back to Cities Skylines, where I just realized we've been on Cities, the Cities soundtrack this entire time. Let's swap that over to Cities Radio so that we can get that sweet, sweet Paradox Grand Strategy music going, and let's continue working on our Pokeball here. But before we do too much more here, I do want to get ourselves some form of power. Now, we could get a coal power plant. That would do 40 megawatts compared to like 8 megawatts from a wind turbine. Okay. I mean, the coal power plant is definitely more cost efficient. I would prefer to run this off of green energy though, considering that part of the theme is that we are attempting to not spoil the natural environment too much. So I definitely think that wind turbines are a good way to go, and this is a reasonable spot over here for them. Alternatively, over here, this would be a long power line. That's all 7 megawatts there. I think we put it up on this hill. So we'll put just a single wind turbine up there for now. And we'll run a power line over. I'm not super happy about doing this, but it'll have to do. And we can just run the power line there for now. That power line will definitely get removed later, but we're going to need to deal with our water situation as well. There are inland water treatment plants. That is a drain capacity of 120k per week. They're super cheap, too. The plant surroundings will be affected by ground pollution. Sure. There's also the eco-inland water treatment plant, which will do less pollution. And that's probably good for us, rather than just, like, dumping the raw sewage back into the water over here. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to do an eco-inland water treatment plant, and I'm going to just place that right here. This is going to be part of our industrial area. We're going to need to have all three in this little hub for right now. That'll be okay. And of course, we'll need to hook that into our water, which we haven't done yet. We are going to need a water pump, and we're going to put up a water pump over, how about over here? That'll give us plenty of expansion room. Of course, we're going to need to run power up there. That's okay. We can do something like that, as well as something like that. Now, I'm not necessarily super happy with it, but we can address all that later on. Now, as far as water pipes go, I don't believe we're going to need heat pipes here. And looking at this, I think that running water pipes down the diagonal roads here gives us a good start, for sure. So we run a water pipe like that, and then one up to the center here, and up like that. Something along those lines. That definitely does give us a good start. And then if we were to run it like this, we'd only have a little bit of area out here. Now, unfortunately, we can't curve water pipes. If we could, that would be almost ideal. We'd just slightly miss this curve, bring it in something like this. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have it come in like that. But that would be the preferred method, is having it curve. Sadly, that's not an option, and instead we will, of course, bring this guy in over the same way. We'll do the same thing over here. Bring it to, say, here. Excellent. And then bring it to, say, here. That's overshooting a little bit. We're going to need a connection there as well. That's a fairly economical way to do these water pipes. I like it. Of course, we're going to need to connect in here, and that's fine. We can do something along the lines of that. Perfect. So there's our water and power taken care of. We're not going to unpause right now. We've got 20,000... I was going to say dollars. These are not dollars. We've got 20,000 units of currency left. And with that, we are going to attach roads over here. Now, I want to do the same thing that we did before, and we'll bring them in like this. In terms of what direction we end up going, this way is always top. We'll have to figure out how we want to do that for these vertical roads. But something along the lines of this, and now it is looking less like a Pokeball. That's great. We do, of course, still have a few issues here in terms of unused space over here. Now, we could simply put in a road. I wouldn't want to put it in here, but we could simply put in a road that goes in like this. That's an option. Not necessarily a good one. Certainly not necessarily a good one. We do need to, of course, address the fact that both of these are going inward, and I would prefer them to, I think, go like this, so that downward roads are on the left and upward roads are on the right. Like that. That should do the trick. Also, I am noticing that this music is slightly on the loud side. I'm going to just turn that down a little bit, down to maybe like 75%. Fantastic. That's still a little loud, in all honesty. Let's bump that back to 50%. Better. Much better. I mean, this is just a loud track in general, right? But even so. Okay, so in terms of how we want to do this, we could add, in theory, another wheel here. And have it come in something like that. That would minimize wasted space here, for sure. And then it would just do something along the lines of this. There's still a tiny amount of wasted space. But I kind of like this concept. Yeah. This is also scalable. We can make different sized patterns with this sort of a concept. I like it. So the question then becomes, do we have a connection here? And I think the answer there is yes, we do. Once again, this should probably be one way. And I think that means that we have to change the direction of the internal spoke here, or rather the internal hub. So let's go ahead and change this to a one-way road, and I want it to be going this direction. Like this. Excellent. And we're going to then flip the interior one around like this. So essentially the only two-way roads here are the diagonal roads. That's interesting. That is certainly very interesting to me. I like this pattern. Yeah, I don't hate it. So the question now is, where are we going to put the residential zone? So one thing I was thinking is that we can use these dividers here as boundaries between our zones in these hubs. So, for example, this is obviously going to be an industrial zone over here, right? Because this is here. So what we would do then is we would have our industrial zone be like all of this over here. We would need a buffer zone between our industrial zone and residential zone, and that would mean that this in here would likely be a commercial zone. So we would do something kind of like this. And I was thinking that all of this would be industrial. And this is maybe a little over-zoning for this stage of the game, but it would be something along the lines of this. Would be our industrial section. Like that. Then our commercial section would be this half over here. And I realize that I could use a different tool to probably do this a little bit faster. But it would be this half of a section over here. Kind of like that. I mean, we can have it take up all of this interior portion here. And naturally, it's going to be a little while before the commercial zone can really fill this out. That is expected. And then we could have a residential zone over here. Now, I'm actually going to de-zone this area down here, and in fact, that's not how you de-zone this at all. I'm going to de-zone this area down here because I'm not entirely sure how much we're going to have to expand our industrial zone just yet. But we can have our industrial area over here, and then we can have a residential area over here. And so our residential area would come in like this. Now we're definitely going to have power issues here at the beginning because I haven't run power lines to all of these areas, and I'm not sure where they're going to start building just yet, but it will be something along the lines of this. And then we can expand the residential zone over here. The commercial zone will, of course, be a buffer for the industrial zone, which can be expanded over this way. And when we need to expand further, we can build another hub. Excellent. So, I don't see any construction just yet. That's a little interesting. I'm used to seeing construction by now. Ah, here we go. There we go. Fantastic. So we're going to get some people moving in here. And yeah, this should be fine. So let's get this city started, shall we? Hopefully they don't destroy this rock. But the rock is blocking zoning. So that's the idea here. Yeah. That's going quite well. Oh, we do actually need to work on junctioning here. So let's go into the junction tool. And I'm going to delete this for now. And we're just going to put in a yield sign here. Does this mean that this has priority? It might. I'm unfamiliar with this sign. But for this situation, we need a yield sign here. Excellent. And we're going to have to do that all the way around. I'm going to do that unpaused. We'll want a yield sign here. Anytime they're entering the circle, we want a yield sign. So up over here, we want a yield sign. Up over here, we want a yield sign. This one's fine because that would only be exiting the circle. Up over here, we want a yield sign. Up over here, we would want a yield sign. Yeah, we know that there's going to be power issues here. And then this is completely fine. That would be a yield. Like that. Okay. And of course, we would also need to do the same on the other circles. Let's go ahead and deal with this power issue for now. That should do the trick for now. In theory. Unless that's not close enough. But I think it is. Now we're going to need more power. There's no doubt about that. And this is going to be exciting in terms of running out of cash here at the beginning. There's also no doubt about that one. But let's go ahead and come on in here. Once again, we want yield signs with regard to the internal circle here. So if they're coming in here, we'll have them yield. If they're coming over here, yield, yield. Up here, yield, and yield. Over here, these guys will yield as well as these guys. We don't need stop signs, I don't think. If we do, we can address that later. But for now, we're just going to go with yields. So a yield here and a yield here. And then over here, we would need a yield in both of these. Fantastic. So interior here on the smallest circle, once again, we would have yield signs here and here. And then we would need a yield sign here. Yield sign here and here. We would not yield here, but this would be a yield. Yield here and here. This would not yield. This would. And then we would yield here and here. And then over here, we would not yield. This would yield. And then as far as this intersection is concerned, maybe this would be like a four-way stop. Because that's the only actual, like, real intersection we have here. So that's a thing. So there's all of our yield signs set up here. We can, in theory, come in here and see yields, I think, with the mod. Well, maybe the yield sign doesn't actually appear with the traffic manager mod, but that's okay. I also can't help but notice that nobody's actually driving in here. I just want to double check here that they can actually make it in. They can. They absolutely can make it in. And it should be relatively efficient to get around as well, in theory. But it also could just be that they haven't arrived yet. We haven't been unpaused for very long, so. We'll see. We do have a population of 44, apparently, so that's great. And they are building in the commercial and industrial areas as well. We don't have very much in terms of our demand right now, and we also can't really adjust our taxes or budget yet. So that's definitely something to be concerned about. However, our losses are going down, so that's a good sign. We're up to 45 people living here. How are we doing with our single windmill? We're doing okay for now. Okay. That's good. And we can see here that our industrial area is developing. Eventually, we're going to want to shift off of industry because we want to have as little pollution as possible, ideally. But hey, we're up to a population of 50. And our dream of not seeing any cars on the streets is being realized. And I'm wondering if they're forbidden. No, they're not being forbidden. They're just not coming in. Okay. Are they trying to come in from up here, I wonder? And having to route around over here? Yeah, outside connection needed. So what I'm going to do here then is all I'm going to do is put in a 2-lane one-way road all the way over there. Yeah, that is going to knock out that building, which is unfortunate, but we'll then bring this in. Yeah, we don't have the cash for it. So we'll have to make this be a 2-way road for now. This is all very temporary up here. Right. We'll need to connect that in as well. Okay. They may have been trying to come in the other way. I'm not used to having 2 outside connections, so we'll see. And it does look like we're going to go into debt for a little while, based on that. This isn't shocking to me. I believe at this point of the game you get a bailout if you go into the debt, right? I guess we'll see. That'll certainly be interesting. So are they coming in this way? No, they don't seem to be. Ah! Our first vehicle! It's a donut van. Fantastic. So it decided to go up over this way and take this circular road. And I also think that we'll have a different speed limit on the one-way roads as opposed to the two-way roads. Like, for example, if we go into our speed limit here, then we would have a speed limit of, say, 40 kilometers per hour on our two-way roads, and then our one-way road maybe along the lines of 50 kilometers per hour. Just slightly faster on these. We'll see how that ends up going. Should certainly be interesting. So we'll put that in here. Like so. I'm sure there's going to be absolutely no accidents. Making it 140 would be hilarious, but I'm going to hold off on that one for now. So inside of the circles, it's going to be a little faster rather than a little slower, which is very practical. That's how driving in a circle works. Oh, this is wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. So we're just going to bump that up a little bit, and I'd like to see how that ends up playing out. So we'll bring that down over here. And we'll just get this finished. There we go. Fantastic. So now the speed limit is slightly higher on the circular portions, hopefully to encourage the drivers to drive on the circular portions. Yeah, you can definitely tell they're going a little faster. That is absolutely wonderful. Now we are definitely a little bit negative in our bank balance, but that's fine. We are doing okay over here. We don't have any demand, and people will just move in slowly over time. So that is absolutely wonderful. And you know, things like this make me realize how much I miss the Crusader Kings 2 music from Crusader Kings 3. It'd be awfully nice if we could import these songs into CK3. Because CK2 has fantastic music. And honestly, CK3's music isn't bad, right? But it's also not... It doesn't stand out to me. I don't know. At any rate, that's not relevant to this particular game. So what we're trying to do right now is stop being so in debt. Of course, this is not practical at this point. I'm not shocked that this is happening in the slightest. Not enough workers, huh? Okay, that's fine. But again, this hub is going to be basically the only place where they can actually drive their vehicles. Well, one of a few, maybe. I do want to actually bump up our speed to 100 over here if we can. Yeah, because that's highway speed, and then that'll connect them up over here. I'm sure there will be no problems with driving highway speed on this. I mean, this mostly only exists to ensure a connection, right? And it is temporary, so we'll just go ahead and do that. I'm sure it's fine. We could have no limit. We're not going to do that. Excellent. I wonder if driving at faster speed causes the road condition to degrade more. That'd be a cool interaction, actually. What's going on here? Why are they stopping? They should not be stopping here. This is a yield sign. Some of them are stopping and some of them are not. Interesting. They're not yielding here. Or maybe it's because of the turn? I don't know. At any rate, we clearly are having a power production issue. And we don't have the cash to do anything about it. Fantastic. What do we need for our next milestone? We need a population of 420. That's going to be interesting. To be sure. We don't have access to policies yet. So we just have to wait it out, I think. Now, how is our zoning filling up? We could definitely put a little bit more industrial, or rather industrial, a little more residential in here, and that's definitely something that I'm going to do. Something like that. Okay. And that area can't be zoned. Okay. Now, this power issue is fully expected, right? We only have a single windmill. It doesn't generate very much. We're not shocked by this in the slightest. And this problem will solve itself once our population gets up. Hopefully we don't hit a death spiral before then. That would be very awkward. Yeah, I know that there's a power issue. Unfortunately, we can't construct anything to deal with it. Yeah, I know I need more money. It's fine. I mean, I suppose we could turn off the water treatment plant, but I think that would cause other issues if I had to bet. We're down to only losing 400 per month right now, or rather per week right now, and that's okay. We are just going to continue to zone over here. This is not going to help the blackout issue, but what it is going to do is get us, hopefully, additional population up to that 420 marker. That is our current goal. In my opinion, this right here is probably the hardest part of City Skylines, getting started. Once you're started, things go pretty smoothly overall. I mean, other than the disasters, I suppose. But it is all good. I'm going to bump it up to speed 3 temporarily while we work on this. Okay. Yeah, we've got that rolling blackout going on here. We're almost making money, and we need to either make money or get 420 people here. One or the other. Yeah, I'm aware of the blackouts. I'm aware. Not much we can do about it just yet, though. Indeed. Yep, this is going to continue to get worse. We know that. We're still losing a little bit of money here. We're up to 200 population. Okay. We're now making money. Not much, but we are making money. I would absolutely love if this wind turbine would start outputting a little bit more. It's variable, right? We know this. Wind turbines are variable depending on the wind strength. And hopefully the wind will pick up. How hard is it to build a working power grid? Well, I mean, you can ask Texas that. Sorry. Little topical there. But in reality, when you don't have money, pretty hard is the answer. How's that wind doing? Wind picking up? Nope, not yet. Okay. Well, we are making 135 per month right now. Yes, I know that roads have names. Thank you. And yeah, we can't adjust anything here. What we could do, I suppose, is pump more money in here, but I don't think that actually affects anything because it's just the wind speed. Yeah, it's just the wind speed here. However, the wind has picked up. We are up to 8 megawatts of power output now. And that is good, but it's not enough. How are you getting power? Okay, that's more like it. That is absolutely more like it. I probably should have built a second wind turbine or a coal plant. That probably would have helped. But we're just going to have to wait at this point. I mean, we could just bulldoze these houses. I'm not sure how helpful that would actually be, though. How much money do we need for a wind turbine? Those cost 6,000? Yeah, that's definitely up there in terms of the cost. It's going to be real interesting. We're up to 250 people here right now. This is a little overbuilt, for sure. I knew this was going to be the case, though. Yeah, seems hopefully okay. Let's just bump this up to fast forward again and see if we can potentially get our cash up a little bit. It's not going up very quickly. That is for sure. I mean, we're positive now, but we have a long ways to go before we can build ourselves. Yeah, there's people abandoning over here. I'm not shocked by this. We have a long way to go until we can get ourselves another power plant over here. And that's because this is a little overbuilt. But once we get through this little growing pain, things should smooth out, in theory. We're making about 250 per month right now, and people are going to be moving out pretty soon because of this, and I don't blame them. That's for sure. We are seeing new construction. That's good. 272 per week. Yeah, we are still a long ways out, right? We're... Figure at 250, that's 4 weeks per 1,000. 4 times 6. If we were out of debt. That's a yikes right there. It's a big ol' yikes. I mean, we could turn off the eco power plant. That's a thing we could do. Would you guys prefer that? I don't think that actually helps the power drain very much. So we'll not do that. Excellent. We're making 406 now, so that's coming up nicely. Yeah, I'm aware of the blackout situation. I'm definitely aware of that. Okay, well, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to get ourselves additional power once we have the cash. And then we are... I like how it's our entire residential section that's out of power. You know what we could do? We could take this power line out at this point. Now, we have to leave this here, which I would like to move. Unfortunately, we don't have the cash to build more power lines. But it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to get ourselves out of debt here. And we are going to, hopefully, get enough power. It's a little overbuilt, to be sure. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. And I will see you all next time.